Greetings from South Korea. I am Arirang News AI anchor. Here is the news making headlines today. Iran says more than 1,300 civilians have been killed, and nearly 10,000 civilian sites have been hit by the US and Israel since the end of February. This comes as US Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth warned Tuesday would be the most intense day of attacks. According to the New York Times, Iran's new leader Mojtaba Khamenei was also wounded, including an injury to his leg. The report cited multiple Iranian officials who spoke on the condition of anonymity. They say the injury is one of the factors Khamenei hasn't appeared in public since succeeding his father as Iran's supreme leader 3 days ago. According to CNN, a suspected Iranian drone struck a U.S. diplomatic facility near Baghdad airport in Iraq on Tuesday. The exact extent of the damage is still being assessed. South Korea is preparing all available policy measures, including a supplementary budget, to minimize the economic fallout from the escalating situation in the Middle East. Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Koo Yoon-tae convened an emergency economic ministers meeting on Wednesday. He stated the government will act rapidly to counter the shifting global economic landscape. To alleviate rising energy costs, the government is considering further fuel tax cuts and will temporarily increase diesel subsidies for commercial vehicles. Emergency management funds will also be deployed to support small business owners. Despite heightened external uncertainties, the Finance Ministry emphasized that South Korea's economic fundamentals remain solid, supported by a 208-day strategic oil reserve. The U.S. Department of Defense has declined to comment on reports that air defense systems stationed in South Korea are being moved to the Middle East amid the war with Iran. A Pentagon official said Tuesday that the military does not discuss the movement of specific capabilities for operational security reasons, but stressed that U.S. Forces Korea remains focused on maintaining combat readiness on the Korean peninsula. The response comes after the Washington Post reported that parts of the U.S. Gov't anti-missile system in South Korea are being redeployed to reinforce defenses against Iranian missile and drone attacks. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung acknowledged the situation, but noted that Seoul maintains one of the world's highest defense spending levels and a military ranked among the global top 5. President Lee Jae-myung hosted his Ghanaian counterpart John Mahama at his office today. The leaders held a summit and explored ways to bolster cooperation on trade, maritime security, and the defense industry. MOUs were signed for bilateral cooperation on technology and science, as well as joint tackling of climate change. The African leader is currently on a working visit to South Korea. The song Golden from the Netflix mega-hit animated film K-Pop Demon Hunters will be performed live at the 98th Academy Awards for Hollywood's biggest night. A fusion performance featuring traditional Korean instrumentalists and dancers will highlight the folklore and cultural elements that inspired the animated blockbuster. As part of the performance, EJ Audrey Nuna and Ray Ami, the singing voices behind the animated K-pop group Huntrix, will take the stage to perform the Oscar-nominated song Golden. K-Pop Demon Hunters is nominated for Best Animated Feature and Best Original Song, while another film connected to Korean cinema, Bugonia, a remake of the Korean cult classic Save the Green Planet, has also received 4 nominations. That is all from me today. Thank you for watching.